The Taihou class assault dropship was produced as part of the Draconis Combine efforts to create a replacement vessel for its diminished navy in the late GIAD era. Produced as a collaboration between Hinsdale Elec shipyards, personnel from various companies such as Midway Warship Yard, and electronic assistance from the Nirasaki Computers Collective, the end result was a tough and small assault dropship which could inflict considerable damage against even warship. The GIAD was a trying time for the Draconis Combine Admiralty, with the Black Dragons and the Word of Blake shutting down or redirecting production at Dieron, Luthien, and Altair. Draconis naval production ground to a halt. When the threat receded in the late 3070s, thoughts turned to rebuilding the navy. Funding and infrastructure for more warships was unlikely, so the Admiralty decided to base the new navy on dropships, utilizing the naval C3 system to overcome their limited firepower. BBP Industries, with its extensive array of modern dropship designs, would get the majority of funds to revamp its lines. But the damage to Luthien meant that it would take decades for all of BBP lines to receive upgrades. Instead, Hinsdale Elec was selected to develop a new assault ship that would take into account all the lessons learned in the GIAD. Honored though they were, Hinsdale was not sophisticated enough to complete the project on their own. Technicians from Midway Warship Yard were transferred to assist with the capital weapons, while Nirasaki Computers Collective was brought in to handle the link-up with their naval C3 system. The prototype Taihou launched in 3077 and mass production started in 3078. Intended as an assault ship, the Taihou features a relatively small cargo capacity of 472 tons, along with the ability to carry two small craft, which serve as battle taxis for the complement of 36 battle-armored Space Marines, and helps them to perform boarding actions. Conceived as a replacement for lost warships, the Taihou class uses a sizable array of sub-capital weapons to meet this role. The ship carries 4 heavy sub-capital cannons with 60 rounds of fire, mounted in the ship's nose. Backing these up is a trio of heavy PPCs and an advanced Apollo fire control system for the ship's MRM-40 launchers. A screen launcher was mounted in the nose to help protect the ship from incoming fire. In the ship's right and left wing section and aft quarters are additional triplets of heavy PPCs and Apollo-guided MRM-40 launchers. 4 anti-missile systems were also added to cut down missile fire and potentially capital-grade missiles used against the ship. Using a smaller, stronger hull than the Nekuano, the Taihou class is covered in heavy ferroaluminum armor, making it a tough nut to crack. But the heart of the Taihou class is the Nirasaki C3 system. This allows the Taihou to use targeting data from other fleet units for even more accurate fire. In typical DCA fashion, the first production runs were disasters. Under political pressure to have a strike force ready for the ravaging of Terra, the first Taihous had major faults in their advanced electronic systems. This is known to have left one Taihou at Terra operating without weapons at all. When they functioned correctly, the Taihous proved devastating, able to smash well-armored ships like interdictors with ease. After Terra's subjugation, Hinsdale was able to reinstate proper quality controls, with a corresponding reduction of faults. Taihous are typically deployed with Nekuonos, Achilles, and Okinawas in naval support squadrons. The Taihou class heavy armor means they end up as the point units for the squadron's C3 system. Combat tactics. While there are larger and deadlier ships, there are few ships that match the simple purity of purpose of the Taihou class. The primary weapon of this dropship is a bow-mounted bay filled with 4 heavy sub-capital cannons, an accurate and deadly weapon system. Everything about the Taihou is based around getting its bow autocannons into range where they can rapidly eviscerate any dropship in existence. Having seen a Taihou destroy an Erendite in a single salvo stresses enough that an operational Taihou class deserves the utmost respect. The major vault of all this firepower is that it's very short-ranged. But the Taihou class deals with that in a variety of ways. Firstly, a high thrust rating allows a Taihou to close the range quickly using evasion, and then stay at close range. Next, the Taihou carries a screen launcher in the bow. Typically, these are defensive systems, but the Taihou class uses its screen launcher offensively, creating clouds obscuring its approach. All of this capability comes at a cost. At 12,000 tons, this is a big ship with limited capabilities other than killing other ships. A pair of small craft and 36 battle armors is carried, but the Taihou class lacks the endurance for extended operations. While fast itself, it is too large to hunt down multiple targets. Additionally, it is not a great AAA platform. It may be hard for a wing of aerospace fighters to kill it, but the Taihou's weapons allow it to do little more than to protect itself. So, how does one use a Taihou? Against other ships? Simply put its nose forward and charge. Try and use the systems provided to avoid getting hit. Against aerospace fighters, it is more difficult. On its own, the Taihou has the thrust to dance with the fighters. Its secondary weapons are brutal if they hit, and the armor makes it tough to kill. As part of a squadron, the short range of the Taihou forces it to move towards the battle if it wants to take part, even when getting C3 data. While it has the thrust to do this, it can do bad things to the defensive formations built beforehand. How does one beat a Taihou? Firepower. A modern SCC ship like an Erendite SCC or the big blackest ships have the firepower and the armor to do it, but it is far from a sure thing and highly reliant on initiative. The Taihou class is so good at what it does, it can rapidly turn the tables on these less specialized platforms. The safest way is massed aerospace fighters. Keep the Taihou away from your ships at all possibility. Warships are another way, but one can hardly accept a single Taihou to take on a warship. In summary, the Taihou class is a definition of an anti-dropship platform. Brutal and simple, it is highly effective at its defined role, but is less than ideal outside of a simple combat situation.